What's up, everybody? Check, check. Just turning on a couple of different things here. Got my music in my ear. And then I want to share that I'm on live on. All right. Hello, everyone who's watching. Please feel free to ask questions. This is the first time I've tried to live stream on YouTube. So I'm working on a comic book right now called Mythica. This is a passion project of mine. Some of you might be familiar with it. But I made this comic because I hadn't seen enough kilted characters in comics, Scottish characters, and being that that's my heritage, I wanted to see something like that. So I created this comic called Mythica, and it's about demon hunting in World War One. And this is the 8th issue that we're now working on. As you can see down at the bottom, the Kickstarter for issue 8 launches in just a few days on the 20th. And so we're looking to get 300 backers this time. Last time we had 286, which was pretty awesome. Welcome, everyone. I am working on Mythica, working on comics. So feel free to ask me any questions about making comics. I've been doing comics for over 10 years now, and I actually teach comics at the local college here in Colorado, or one of them, I guess. There's several of them. Yeah, I'd love to answer any questions you might have. I love making comics. I love visual storytelling. I love everything about comics. And once we get a few more viewers here, I'll switch views to a larger view. But of course, I just got started and my headphones just told me that the battery's low. That's my luck. So some of my inspirations for making comic book art are the ones that are really detailed. Some of them aren't really known for comic book art. Like one of my favorites is Bernie Wrightson, who did do some comics, but he's more known for just amazing like Frankenstein illustrations or stuff like that. But I love the detail. Zach Howard is another big inspiration of mine. Love his detail. Dave Finch. Dave Finch does some awesome videos here on YouTube, and I've always loved his work, and I like to watch his videos. But I do feel like the poor guy has got everyone trying to copy his style right now. And so I try to take the philosophy of what he talks about and then try to make it my own. Because there's a lot of people out there just making like Dave Finch style stuff, and make something your own. And I like to feel I feel like my stuff is uniquely my own. Feels like it to me anyway. So one of the reasons I'm going live is that I want it gives me an excuse to talk to myself, because then I can justify it, saying that I'm not actually talking to myself. I'm talking to my audience here. But also I wanted to share a little bit about my process and talk about my upcoming book, Mythica. Mythica issue 8, I should specify. It's been a long time in the making, and now we have a colorist on board named Robert Nugent, and that allows me to just focus in on lots of detail in the artwork, and that's really what I love to do anyway. So it's been a real blessing to have him on board. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I'm just working on comics and would love to hear any questions or comments that you might have. I'm currently working on a page in Mythica. I'll make it a little bit bigger for you so you can see what I'm doing here. There we go. That should change for you pretty quick. There we go. You know, a lot of people are like at work, so they can't really tune in very well. And one thing that I'm always nervous about on YouTube is having any kind of music. So I got the music in my ears. So in this particular scene, Magnus is fighting a female vampire and impaling her with this metal tool that she tried to hit him with. So she's quickly realizing she's made a terrible mistake, messing with Magnus. All right, I gotta fix this drawing here. So we got it coming out, down, back in, and then out to a point. These are like giant size needle nose hot flyers, essentially like pincers, but very old. It was a tool that was used for making wagons, and it was inside the shop that Magnus is in. So turning it into a deadly weapon here. There we go. Looks like we got a few people watching. Welcome. If you guys have questions or just want to say hi, please be sure and leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. This is the first time I've ever tried to live stream on YouTube. And so I would love to know what you guys think. I'd also love to know what you guys thought of the Book of Boba Fett show, if you've seen that. I just watched that. There we go. So these are the pincers, and they were kind of bent because she tried to smack him over the head with them, and he has the ability to make himself sort of rock solid, impenetrable, similar to like Luke Cage. Difference being that Luke Cage is like that all the time, and with Magnus, it's more of a reflexive focus. You have to think about it the same way you'd have to flex your arm. So he's still vulnerable sometimes. I like the idea of characters having vulnerabilities a little bit. Oh, thanks. Thanks for subscribing. I got to get better about YouTube. I have a few tutorial videos. Surprisingly, I have a lot of videos on YouTube, but they're mostly unlisted because every time I do a class for like comic class and my other classes, I'm recording it for Zoom. And so they're all on there, but they're all hidden because I didn't want to like go through the process of getting permissions from my students for each one of these. But occasionally I do take excerpts from those and post them online. So yeah, I don't have as many videos up yet as I'd like to, but with some of these platforms like Facebook have just been fighting me when it comes to promoting. So I'm looking at other platforms like YouTube, see if they can help make it better. I gotta say too, I'm on some new medication. And I'm not afraid to share it. I don't think we talk about these things enough. I started going to a psychiatrist for focus. I was having mental focus problems, and I've had some anxiety. And I've never been, to a psychiatrist. So they said, "Well, I'm pretty sure you have ADD based on what you're describing." And so they put me on some medication, and it's kind of tearing me up inside. My stomach's constantly like twisted up and kind of feeling uncomfortable. And then I'll have these waves of feeling kind of, I guess, jittery is the best word. Not exactly like calm and in control. So as I'm inking, like sometimes I feel a little shaky, and I'm having to work through that. I'm not 100% sure that this is the right medication for me, but we got to try it long enough to see. That's the deal with mental medications, and I'm happy to talk about that too. I think that we don't talk about those things enough as artists, but anxiety is something a lot of artists deal with. Depression. I'm not really dealing with depression too much, but I know that that's something a lot of artists struggle with as well. And bipolar, all these things. We don't talk about them. People are ashamed of them. And I think that we need to talk about them. So yeah, I'm really hoping that this medication will help me to work on focusing in on one thing. So one of my problems has been that I have so much going on as a business owner and a creator and a teacher that while I'm working, like right now, my brain starts thinking of the other things that I need to do. And it sees each one of these things as this absolutely urgent thing, and almost to the point of anxiety. So my brain starts going, "Oh my god, I need to work on that, not this." And so my focus keeps shifting, and I finally just couldn't deal with it anymore. I was like, I need to work on this. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Trying to figure it all out, but with both meds and some therapy and coping mechanisms and all the things, because uh, we do have a lot to deal with in our world, and we don't talk well enough about how to take care of our mind, our mental state. We talk about working out and taking care of ourselves physically a lot, but not really about mental issues. And so I feel like that's what I'm going to focus on for a while. Um, so if anybody has any questions about that, feel free to ask. Like I said, I'd love to open a conversation about those kinds of things. I'm not afraid to talk about it. Yeah, even right now, my stomach is like a little tore up. It's bothering me, and so while I'm sitting here, my brain's going, is this the right medication? I don't know. But one of the things they told me is that response is part of the side effects, and it's trying to settle in to my body. So we'll hope that it settles down and starts working. But after a while, if it doesn't, then we'll try something else. I see there's quite a few people watching now, so welcome. I'm doing some art on Mythica and talking about dealing with mental illnesses and facing our mental well-being. I don't think we talk about that enough. I was really struggling with focus, and I went in, and they're saying I'm an old man now. I won't say how old I am, but uh, I was born in I grew up in the '80s, so that gives you a little bit of an idea. But this is the first time I walked into a doctor, and they're like, "Hey, it's pretty clear that you probably have ADD." And I'm like, "Oh, that wasn't something they talked about when I was a kid. They just said you were being lazy or weren't focusing." So that could explain some things. So now we are experimenting with some of those medications to see if I can work on my focus. I was having a really hard time staying focused on tasks because my brain saw all these things I needed to do and would kind of freak out about an overwhelmed amount of things I have to do. Which, if you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, I'm sure you're aware of that. You can relate to that. So, if anybody has any questions, Christopher Steiner says, "How do you like the YouTube streaming versus Facebook streaming? What's your reason for making the switch?" I'm just trying different platforms, honestly, Chris. I I feel like Facebook shuts me down a lot when it comes to sharing my posts, and I wanted to see what YouTube would do. There's right now been a pretty similar amount of traffic. I don't have a big YouTube following though, so that might be part of it. But yeah, on Facebook, if I post anything about this upcoming Kickstarter and there is a link in it, or I say anything promotional, they immediately seem to just keep it from being seen by people, and like one or two people will like it and see it. Whereas if I post a meme of something ridiculous, or a picture of my cats, then lots of people see it. So they know when I'm trying to promote and they block it, and that just it drives me insane. And I don't know what to do other than look to other platforms and see if there's better ways. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm trying to do it this way and see what happens. It may not work, but I feel like it's worth a shot, you know? I also went on TikTok and live streamed before I live streamed here just a little bit ago. And that was a weird experience. That was the first time I tried that. And it's really bizarre because once it went live, I got like 150 likes instantly. People were online all over it. Like they must have advertised that I was online. And then it like trickled down, 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 down to like 5 people. So I thought that was interesting. But because of that, I had like 150 likes on that post instantly. And then a couple of followers. So I learned something, you know, like, okay, that wasn't, you know, effective in conversation. Like there weren't a lot of people conversing, but it did get me more following, more likes. So um, there was definitely a benefit there. So that is a good question. And as you guys can see on that ticker below, I have a Kickstarter launching in just a few days this Sunday. I am going to live stream on Facebook. Um, if I can, I might try to do it simultaneously, but I may have to have a paid account uh, on StreamYard, which is, as you can see up in the upper right, that's what I'm doing right now. And when you have a paid account, you don't see that StreamYard logo. I would have my own logo up there, but I really only use StreamYard during the times I'm doing campaigns. So I'm not 100% sure I want to pay the fee yet, but we shall see. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, I mean, you know, when I was growing up, I don't think anyone really talked about that kind of stuff in school. They didn't. They didn't really like. I don't think they really knew anything about ADD. And I remember at one point I was put into a special ed class because this was like in second or third grade because I wasn't paying attention and they thought there was something wrong with me, but they didn't know what, so they just put me in special ed, and I was in there for an entire grade until my special ed teacher was like, "Yeah, you don't belong here. There's no reason for you to be here." So that was probably like the first indications of that, but they didn't know what that was back then. So yeah, I'm trying to deal with that stuff and get a clear head because I have so much I want to do, and I just to get it done, I really need to focus on finishing one thing and then move on to the next, and not keep my mind being split all the time. But I was having a really hard time with that, and now I have at least an idea why. I don't have all the solutions yet, but we're working on it. Um, and there's been some ups and downs with this medication. Like it's a time release that I'm working on right now, and sometimes it'll still be like fully kicking in and on at like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night when I'm ready to go to bed, and I'm like, I can't shut it off. So I may need to let the doctor know that I don't think time release is the right one for me. But that's the thing about this stuff is it's kind of trial and error. Unfortunately, it's not like a set prescription. Um, and they started me off on a really, really low dose. So, but something I've discovered is that when I have an audience, even if it's just an audience of one, or even sometimes if I'm just live and there's no audience, I I tend to focus a little bit more. I think because maybe I'm talking, and I stay on task longer, and I'm not letting my mind wander as much. So I think that's a good thing. Another tool I can use. Oh, thanks, Chris. I'd love to do that. Just to catch up. It's been a while since I've talked to you, and I always enjoy our conversations. So I have to teach a class this afternoon, but maybe we can try to get together tonight. And that's another thing. I don't know if anyone ever experiences this, but like, um, as a teacher, you you have all these students who are looking to you for guidance and to to figure things out and help them get on their way in life. And I do help a lot of students, and it feels great. But then there's times like when I'm struggling through whatever issue I might be having, and then I have to stop and go teach kids. And I say kids, they're college kids, and you get this sort of imposter syndrome feeling going on where you're like, why am I, giving advice on how to deal with life, or how to deal with art, things like that. It and it's just voices in your head. It's not true, but it definitely is something that's there. So, yeah, Chris, let me make sure, check my phone here, make sure I still have your number correct, and still have it online here. Um, check my contacts. Yeah, I got you. Last two digits are 67. So one of the things that I've realized about making Mythica, which is my comic here, if you don't know, um, when I started this, I felt like I hadn't seen many other comics do a character that was Scottish and wearing a kilt. That's what started all this. All right, cool, Chris. I'll definitely make a note to hit you up. I'd love to chat with you. I haven't heard from you in a long time. So I'll try to do that tonight. In fact, I'm going to write it down so I don't forget, because I do that. Thank you so much, man. So anyway, what I was saying was that I didn't see a lot of other people making comics with kilted characters, and I'm starting to realize why. There are so many folds and pleats and plaid patterns to have to draw over and over and over again. I can see why they wouldn't want to do that. I love it. I feel like I love details, so it allows me to really get in there and have fun with it. Um, but it is more time consuming, so it slows things down a little bit. So I can see why they wouldn't like that. They like characters where you can just draw basically just a character without clothes, and then just draw a line around their wrist and around their neck, and now they have a spandex costume on, and you're good to go. Makes it a lot faster. So this will be my fourth Kickstarter. So if anyone is interested in making their own Kickstarter campaign, feel free to ask questions. I'm happy to answer about those as well. There are always challenges, but it can be overwhelming if you've never done it before. Hell, it's overwhelming if you have done it before, especially if you have ADD. So here we're going to go in some more with some more of these plaid patterns. And notice when I make these plaid patterns, I'm trying to stagger them, and that helps create the illusion of the ins and outs and the overlaps. So I've picked up that trick over the course of doing this so many years and so many books in a row now. Much better at doing plaid than when I started. Did anyone see the Book of Boba Fett? Because I watched it, just finished it a few days ago, and I have mixed feelings about it. So I'd love to know what you guys think. That's another thing. This medication makes me dry, cotton mouth. Like, it reminds me of like getting high on weed. Like I'm thirsty. I get a little, energy boost. The only thing I don't get is hungry. I don't get the munchies. It's kind of get the opposite, where I'm like, don't feel like eating. My stomach hurts. I've actually lost weight since I started taking these, but I feel like the focus might be starting to improve after a couple weeks now. We'll see. So behind here, you see I've got a blue layer. That's my main character line art layer. And then behind this, you'll see this gray layer. And this was my background texture. And I just start doing all that freehand, one line at a time on a new layer, and then go in and erase out these details and turn it down. Oh, that was loud in my ear anyway, maybe not to you guys. So you can see here, there's the background. But that allows me to make lines and not try to stop and start again as I'm doing those background elements. It's another reason why I really value working digitally, because when I'm doing this traditionally, I would have to like either mask these characters out or be very careful and stop. And with ink, whenever you stop a line, it kind of beads up a little bit. So you don't really want to do that. You can see like right here, like when you stop a line, it kind of comes to a point sometimes. So you don't want to be stopping and then starting again. So yeah, I really like that that's an option. Get back to my brush tool. So did anyone see the Book of Boba Fett? I see quite a few people liking the post on Facebook. Thicken up these contour lines so that they really stand out against the lines in the background. So I'll kind of go over those a couple times just to make sure they're nice and thick. You really want them to jump out at you. God, I love making comics. It's so fun, and you really just kind of get lost in all the different details. Do some of the shading on this arm now. So here I'm just freehanding some of these lines in. And then I'll do it other direction. Kind of catch the light going upward. And this one always, challenges me of like how I actually want to do this, because there's so many different ways to do it. But I think I'll just do little ones for now. See how that looks. That looks all right. I like that. Thicken up these lines here. All the contours all the way around, I'm trying to thicken up. Turn that back down. The trick for me with digital inking is getting the smoothing button. I'm constantly like adjusting it, because if it's too high, you can't just be loose and sketch, because it's trying to just chase you and follow and smooth your line out. But then when you get like really flowing smooth lines, like in the hair, I'll turn it back up so that I can have a little bit more smooth, controlled lines. Just depends on what part I'm doing here. But for a lot of the little details and stuff, I like to really just feel natural. And so I'll turn it way down and feel, so I can just make random little bumps and dots and tick marks and things like that. It tends to be easier when that thing's not on. All right, we're getting into this impalement section here. getting impaled. This is actually a scene from issue 8. I'm just got a couple of pages to do. Everything else is already drawn and mostly colored. The cover's done. Robert's been cranking out the colors. So these are just a couple of the final pages here. So you're getting a sneak peek. But I'm liking the way that's looking. Gives you an idea of the overall page there. I like using silhouettes sometimes because I'm putting in all this detail over here in this one. And then this one allows me to get some space on this page quickly by just having a silhouette. And it kind of balances, the eye out a little bit. This doesn't, if there's too much detail. If it's nonstop detail, then the eye can get tired, I feel like. So that's my thought process anyway. She's got these gloves on. Very unrealistic, but cool looking. That's a tangent. I don't like that. Let's just cut that short. There we go. So I can't really see who's online. I just see that there's a few people watching right now. So thank you to those that are. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you just enjoy watching me work, then thank you for that. One of the other things I like about sharing my screen digitally is that when I'm trying to show students or draw for people at a show, I'm left-handed and my hand is always over what they're trying to see, and so they're constantly bobbing their head around trying to see what I'm drawing. Whereas with this, we don't have that problem. I love that. All right, so now we got the glove in here, and I'm going to start going in and putting in the darks. So another thing I really love about digital inking is I can switch my brush from black to clear just by going right here and hitting clear, and then I can like start to use it as a highlight, almost like an eraser, but with the exact same brush settings and everything. So I don't have to switch to an eraser or anything like that. I suppose I could set my eraser to the exact same brush settings, but I'm used to this setup. So what I'm trying to be mindful of here is where one edge of black touches the next edge of black, and making sure there's a light separation. So for instance, behind this hand, there's an arm right here. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that in. And then this finger needs a separation point a little bit, so we can clearly make out where that is. But now that this finger out here is exposed to light, I don't necessarily need to have that. Sometimes I'll keep it depending on where the light source is, but So yeah, just making sure there's a break in there so we can make it out and they don't blend together. Sometimes blending is okay, but I'll start this way, and then if I feel like it will work with more black, I'll add it in. What you're looking for really, I think, is a quick read, like, because people are going to be looking at this from, way back here, right? So I always check my work looking back at it. I'm not too zoomed in, um, but can they quickly make out if that's a hand and not just a blob? That's really what it comes down to. Let's see, for this kind of work, I generally have my smoothing set down really low so that I can just cruise and sketch and fill in. Some people will lasso this stuff in. I probably should for time's sake, but I like to feel like I'm actually inking. I like to make it feel as least a little digital as possible. I'll come up here, fill this one in. So yeah, Book of Boba Fett has. I don't want to say anything if people haven't seen it, but so I don't want to spoil anything. But so I'll try to be mindful of that. It's not everyone has access to it, but my general thoughts on it were the first half of the season was kind of boring. Um, and the second half was really great. The thing is, it seemed like they had to bring in characters that people already know and love in order to keep that energy alive. Because Boba Fett's story by itself just didn't seem to be cutting it. And that's honestly what it came down to me is I was introduced to Boba Fett when I was like 8 or 9 years old. Gives you another hint of how old I am. But he was this bounty hunter. He was mysterious. We didn't know who he was, but we knew he was bad ass enough to catch Han Solo, to deal with the Jabba the Hutt, to deal face to face with even Darth Vader, and then so if you come from that era, your mindset is like this dude's badass, and this show didn't make me feel that way very much. It felt like everyone else around him was a badass. Like his assistant, I can't remember the actress's name that plays his assistant, but she was in what's the name of that show? The Shield as well. Asian actress, and she was a badass, and I was like, I'd rather see a show about her. And so that was a little disappointing for me because I was just like, Man, Boba Fett is not as badass as I remember him being. But that's just my opinion. Now, I enjoyed the last few episodes and the big climactic finale. They really know how to keep our attention with that stuff. And of course, they dropped in some characters that everybody loves because that's going to keep our attention too. But I don't think that show, has enough substance of the character to really care that much. So I don't know how much longer it'll last, or if it's supposed to go on for more seasons. But I think they're going to have to do more with that character to keep people's interest. All right, I'm going to hit save here and check on things. Got a lot of stuff going on Facebook. Let me check. Yeah. All right. Well, I think I'm going to take a break and eat some lunch. I appreciate everyone who has stopped by. Once again, I will be launching the Kickstarter for this book on February 20th, which is this Sunday. I will be doing a live stream on Facebook for sure, but I will be announcing that there are some special early bird rewards for like the first 25 backers and what those are. So be sure and check that out. All right. Thanks so much, guys. See you soon.